My name is Julia Deckman. I'm a self-taught visual artist, and I've been building my art career here in Charleston since 2012. Tonight, I'm going to attempt to explain why I thought it was a good idea to open my own studio and retail space in the middle of a pandemic. It's challenging and totally unpredictable to be a professional creative, and over the years, I've supplemented my art practice with full-time admin jobs, dog walking, hotel guest services, and most recently, I work part-time at Arts and Craftsman Supply. While juggling multiple jobs might not seem ideal, my experience of the real world after graduating from C of C was that for me, life is empty if I'm not creating. I don't really have an option. I must paint to be happy. This fact I didn't learn or perhaps accept about myself until adulthood, but now that I've had this epiphany, in hindsight, it's pretty obvious. My earliest memories are painting in my diaper. My favorite summers were spent in art camps. My happiest high school experiences were in art class. I think I just took this love for painting totally for granted, and I assume this is how everyone feels about art. But apparently, this is not the case for all of humanity, and I am not capable of spending my life behind a desk. I owe this realization largely to this city that we get to live in. I had originally fallen in love with Charleston as an undergrad, but it was when I moved back as an adult that it felt like I woke up. Being back in this beautiful place, I felt inspired again, and I realized I needed to be creating. I needed to make art a priority. Making art a priority meant setting up studios in a kitchen, living room, and later laundry room, until I finally got a dedicated space at Redux Art Center. Making art a priority meant painting every evening after work and all weekend long. It meant pushing my introvert self out of my comfort zone and into participating in whatever networking and sales opportunities I could find. I began making friendships with fellow artists and small businesses. I was finding my fellow weirdos and began to realize how important community is. With the help of Charleston's creative community, I was able to take my life into a completely new and deeply fulfilling direction. I eventually found representation at the Miller Gallery, and I was named the 2019 Low Country Artist of the Year. So here I was at the beginning of 2020, working part-time at ANC to supplement my art sales and commissions. I was keeping super busy in my Redux studio and was thinking I need to invest in a bigger space soon. Then COVID hit, and I was terrified. I was terrified for all the reasons we've all been worried for the past 2 years, but also, what the hell will this mean for my art career? Will people still buy art now that the world is falling apart? The first months of quarantine were extremely eye-opening. I dove into my art, and again, my community showed up. More than ever, I was realizing what's important and what my values and goals are. By June, I had been furloughed, but I was actually making my ends meet as a full-time artist for the first time ever. I began venturing out of my house again, and I saw this lease sign on an adorable commercial space with great windows right outside my neighborhood. My life experiences and perspective after quarantine made it impossible for me to ignore this opportunity. Yes, taking on this kind of overhead is a huge risk. But I had just learned how short life is and how we can't ever really rely on a sense of security. The only way to lead a fulfilling life is to follow your passions regardless of risk or fear. So I put a business plan together, I secured a loan, and I convinced my landlords to take a chance on me and my dream of opening an art studio and collaborative retail space. With the loan I received, I was able to convert 2008 Wapu Drive into the studio of my dreams. Community engagement was a priority. So building a retail salon where creatives can exhibit their work in an engaging atmosphere was my first goal. I simply reflected on my early years as an emerging artist and thought about the kind of opportunity I would have benefited from, and I set out to create that. I still had more square footage to activate, and I finally settled on developing an exhibition gallery for guest artist shows. I want to empower emerging artists to dig into the ideas that inspire them, to give them a reason to develop these thoughts into cohesive collections of work, and to offer the joy of experiencing a public exhibition and opening event. Within weeks of announcing this opportunity, the gallery was booked for the entire 2021 year. Clearly, exhibition space is something the city has more room for. I also want to reach my community members who aren't necessarily creative. Customers can shop in the salon knowing that every purchase they make supports local small business, but I also want to make the act of creativity more accessible. My workshop programming is a way I achieve this. I plan this studio to also function as an ideal setting for guest instructors to teach their craft. We offer no experience required workshops for adults ranging from candle making to floral design. And if you have a craft you'd like to teach in a more formal setting, email me. The icing on this creative cake is my newest endeavor, Stono Bottle Shop. I'm married to a wine guy and have subsequently become completely spoiled. Teeter selections weren't doing for me, and I didn't want to drive over a bridge to find something better. So I decided to get my liquor license and open a small bottle shop within the space. The making of wine and beer is itself an art form, and it's a privilege to offer bottles thoughtfully created by generations of families across the world. With the opening of Stono Bottle Shop, there is truly something for everyone in Julia Deckman's studio. So now, in the last months of 2021, I find myself in a whole new reality. Each day is different, challenging, but most of all, fulfilling. Each month is uncertain and honestly, really scary. This is a risky life I lead, but I get to wear my paint clothes every day, and I live in my most favorite city with the most incredible community, and I have hope for our future.